Hold on, I'll get that. I need to get my part started.
Yeah.
It's 1 o'clock on Tuesday, July 20th, regularly scheduled city commission meeting. Madam Clerk, do we have a quorum?
Yes, Mayor.
It's Commissioner Unruh's turn to do the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will you bow your heads? Father God, we come to this day. We are so grateful for what you have given us, Father, in this incredible city, Father, in this incredible county, and in this incredible state. We are so blessed to be here, and today, Father, we lift up our police, our firefighters, our EMS, and our Explorers Club, Father, who are right now, as we speak, doing competition in Tennessee. We ask that you just protect each and every one of these, of the first responders, Father. Give them wisdom when they're making calls. And Father, we are so grateful in the way that you're using them to protect and serve this city. Today, Father, we also just lift up all those, the people who are getting ready to start school. We just ask that. I know parents are traveling on last-minute vacations. We just ask for safe travels for each and every family. Father, help teachers and the administration and staff prepare, Father. School starts here in less than 3 weeks. And Father, we are so grateful that you are giving our medical community wisdom. Father, we ask you just to protect them, Father. Just give them the time that they need, Father, to make to protect our community and to serve them, Father, with the medical needs. Today, we are so grateful to be here. We ask for wisdom as we as a commission make decisions together on behalf of each and every citizen of Garden City. We love you, and it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, minutes from the last meeting. Are there any changes to the minutes? I didn't see any. Commissioners, see any? They'll stand as presented, approved. This next item, item 5, is public comment. This is the time that we have the public come forward and comment on any item that is not on the agenda. And we give you 5 minutes. When you do come forward, please state your name for the record. Okay, moving on to item number 6.
There's no
Okay.
consideration of petitions, memorials, and remonstrances, so we'll go straight to the report of the city manager. I invite Police Chief Pruitt and Fire Lieutenant Bemis up to present the 2021 fireworks violations report.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Commissioners.
Hello.
We're up here together, so we're going to kind of split this up. We have, there's quite a few slides here. Some of them we're going to talk in depth, some of them we're just going to, they're there for supporting documentation. This is the in-depth fireworks report for 2021. One of the things that we wanted to concentrate on was making sure that the visibility and the education continued. We've done that in years past. We did a good job this year doing that. We started on the 27th, went through July 5th, being out there visible, talking to people, addressing any complaints that we had, and then any violations that came up. We distributed educational materials both when we were out and about and then down at the fireworks show as well. One of the things that's probably a little bit different, we kind of upped our game a little bit on social media, so we pushed it out quite a bit. Had a pretty robust social media campaign both with the fire department, police department, and then the city was also sharing that as well. About 40,000 people, and that's approximate, were reached through social media. We had over 1,000 reactions and comments and shares of all the different social media platforms. And then in-person educational contacts was over 1,000 by both departments. Like we talked about, I think last meeting or the meeting before that, we had 41 calls this year. Last year, comparatively, we had 83. A majority of those were on the 4th, so I've been trying to look at the data and trying to figure out what the difference is, and I want to give you some sort of, like, hey, this is the reason why I can't figure it out. So, I know what we're doing, it works for us, it builds relationships between both departments, it gets us out there in front of the public, so that's always a good thing. But the 4th of July and that time frame, it's a mess for us. So we deal with a lot of people that aren't very happy with what the city's doing, what the police department's doing, what the fire department's doing. So we try to take those as they come up and try to deal with them and not ruin somebody's 4th of July celebration. So, and with that, Lieutenant Bemis will take over.
Good afternoon. So this year, the calls for the city fire department were down from last year, actually. I think we had 15 calls last year, and this year, the amount of calls we had in the city of Garden City was 12, so it did come down. We had 5 dumpster fires, 6 grass fires, 5 dumpster fires, and 1 vehicle fire, fireworks related. So we had 9 in the county, and then 2 in Holcomb, City of Holcomb. So they are coming down. I want to attribute, I think all the information we've been passing out to the citizens and the amount of moisture we've been getting this month,
That's been great.
I think drastically helped us. So I was thankful for that. So we had property loss. Property loss, of course, was down from last year. Last year we had 1,900. This year we had just around $1,700 in property loss. So that's always a good thing when those numbers come down. We had 0 fireworks-related injuries that the fire department ran on. So that's a blessing right there. So. All in all, we had 22 guys on 9 separate apparatus throughout the entire 4th of July day. We patrolled the city from 8:30 to 11:45 at night, and really by the time 11:30 rolled around, all the fireworks was pretty well shut down. I think the information that we're passing out is really getting around, and people are taking heed, not wanting to disrupt their neighbors as much.
So the next 3 slides are supporting documentation. It just kind of breaks down when the violations were reported by date and then by location and also by time. It's kind of for your information, just seeing when we were most busy. And then finally, we'll close it with some of the considerations. We tried something different this year. We embedded a police officer with the fire department on the first night that we did it, and then it got to the point where we were both so busy that we didn't have enough seats. So we couldn't do that for the rest of the time, but we're going to continue with that probably next year, see if we can expand that just a little bit. We're going to try to make our education a little bit more robust through classes and videos, and then making sure that we include the different languages for the flyers that we give out. We ran out of flyers pretty early this year at the 3i for the fireworks show, and we're going to try and remedy that with maybe more flyers in multiple languages. And then social media always works well, especially today's day and age, so maintaining or making that a little bit more robust. And with that, we'll answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions?
Yeah, I do. Chief, I'm curious about, I know that, thank you first of all for the partnership. I think I do. I think it works, and we really are excited to see that. I'm curious about, I know that the county is the one who decides whether or not you can sell fireworks or not, but it seems like the reaction to the fireworks are basically, or helping people stay safe are really your jobs. I'm curious, are they offering any classes for people who sell fireworks to help them educate people? I know that you go around and visit the fireworks stands, but I'm curious about, when they get that license to sell fireworks, and I think it's from the county, is there any type of education that they receive from the county about, what that looks like in order for fireworks to be done not only safely, but also to respect your neighbors?
I don't know the answer to that. I can find out for you. I'll inquire at the county and see if they do that.
It would be an opportunity, I think, for them to also understand their responsibility to our city too.
I'm making a guess here, but I imagine with not the vendors, but the guys that do it professional,
Right.
They probably have to take a test. I don't know. I don't have any idea about the vendors, so I'll check into that.
Yeah, I'm just saying is their ability to help people understand, hey, these are the rules, I mean, because year by year, it seems like we change, and so. Yeah, the only other thing is I'm curious about when you have to go and talk to people about violations, and so what is their reaction to you, and so how do those, hopefully it's respectful, but I'm just curious.
I had no issues this year. Everybody was respectful. As soon as we talked to them, they said that they would take care of it. In years past, we've had some people that have pushed the limits a little bit, and we have educational pieces for that.
Well, thank you. No, I really appreciate all you're doing, so thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you, guys. Good job. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Next, I'll invite Aaron Stewart to give a presentation of the Garden Rapids mid-season report.
Afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners.
Hello.
So what we have today is kind of the mid-season report, and this is through July 14th on most everything except the water report, which is July 8th. So opening day, I know most of you attended that. It was slightly chilly. Despite that, we still ended up with 1,000 people coming through for the day, and 679 attended the grand opening event, which was the first 2 hours, and we track that through both raffle tickets and a no-sale pass on there. So we have a really good count. So 322 came after that 2 p.m. time and enjoyed the pool. And if you want to go to the next one. So labor this year, we've kind of landed on 53 lifeguards. Comparatively to 57 and 50 in the past. As you can see from the certifications, 39 of those were new, which means we have a really young staff, but they've done a great job. I think the biggest jump is what you see is the concessions gate and slide attendance. There's a lot more involved in managing that slide complex, so it takes a lot more people. That and concessions, and I think if you see, we'll get to some of the revenue here in a minute, but you can see we're kind of running under, and part of that is, I'll be honest, we could use another 10 to 15 guards to staff it appropriately. So, and again, part of this with the actual, I don't know when the general journals entries have been made as far as catching the labor up, but we'll have something at the end of the year that's a direct comparison. So.
Okay.
Emission seems to be doing fairly well. We're doing 39,308 as of the 14th, and those other years are on that same date, so it's tracking date to date. We're averaging about 839 people a day when we did this data. That does fluctuate. So we've been as high as 1,000 a day, and we've been as low as 800 a day. So we'll see where that settles out at the end of the year. But compared to 309 and 330, the prior 2 years of operation of the big pool, that's a significant increase. And again, the gate revenue at 106,116 compared to 51,220 and 52,097. So, and again, those were taken on the 14th of each year. So, and there is that little note there, 71,469 swimmers. If we continue on this average, that would be our year total. So pass sales, as you can see, we've had 14 single passes, several punch passes, 34 family passes, and with 32 family add-ons. And what that is we restrict the family pass to a family of 4. However, we allow them to add a child for $20 more. So it's still really reasonable.
Aaron, a question on that note.
Yeah.
So I was asked, when you have the kids' night for $5 of attendance, does the family pass go towards that, or is that an extra $5 on top?
And it's $5 for each event, and I'll tell you why. Because that event is outside the scope of the normal operations of the pool, meaning that we're trying to recover some costs of what the cost it is to put that on. So that's why each event is $5, the same price for everybody, and passes do not allow for that. Passes are meant for the normal operations of 1 to 8 or 1 to 6 on Sunday.
So, since we're on the passes, can I ask a question too?
Sure.
Since Commissioner Ortiz said something. So I know that some of the passes, I mean, they're pretty generic, and so some people say, well, it's a good thing I'm honest, and I said, well, that's why we trust you as the public. But I said, I know that they were indicating that, you know, some people, I mean, we could actually just give this to somebody else, and they said, well, we don't anticipate that you could do that, because I don't think
No,
that
we
pass
we
has a
record
picture.
name and information,
Yeah,
and
that's what I said
if
too.
it
I
was
said-
to ever come up, we could ask them to
All right.
produce an ID. Unfortunately, the recreation software that we were using called eTrack Plus has experienced some issues. In fact, we're undergoing replacing that. That system, when they scan their membership, pops up a picture. Whatever system we're gonna be on next year will pop up a picture.
Okay.
So this is kind of a temporary solution to a situation we got thrown in kind of last minute. And that's a long story. If you'd like to know what happened to
No, I
eTrack,
just,
I'll-
they were saying that the passes were a little bit more generic, and they thought they were gonna have to be, like you said, the picture would pop up, or you
Yeah.
got their picture on it, and I said,
So-
well, I said, we trust you, so.
When we started this process,
That's
that's
what you
what
planned,
was
okay.
gonna happen. I guess the short and dirty version of this, eTrack 2.0 was supposed to come out, and it is still not out. And so we're gonna move on from that, so. So the event revenue, adult night, seems to be gaining in popularity. We're up to 383, this is after 2 events. The first night was 150 and 240, 230 around the second one. Kids night, pretty popular, again, averaging about 300 per time. So the dive-in movies, I mean, we did have a good turnout, but, and I know Commissioner Dick was there, but there were not very many people watching the movie. So we put out a poll to ask, do you just want to have a night swim, or do you want us to do the movie? And that Facebook poll overwhelmingly at 82% came back. And so we just did a night swim, and we were somewhere around the number of 330, 350 for the last night swim that we just did on Friday. So I think we made the right choice. So far, pool rentals, again, the semi-private cabanas, which I think will probably draw the most, because that's for a smaller crowd. We actually have had some calls for those recently. I think you'll see that dramatically increase. So far, 1 full pool after-hour rental. Concessions revenue, again, just like the gate admission, it's up quite a bit. Our daily average is about $1,700 versus $450 and $462. So concessions is doing really well. Hence, part of the reason we need more people is we are serving quite a few people out of there. So I think all things are looking good as far as that goes. So days of operations, and we're making an assumption here that we will not have any more weather closures this year, but so that 83 on the 2021 is yet to be determined, but just comparatively so you can see what we anticipate for this year. We have had 3 closures due to weather, and all of them in that 83 days include that 1 free admission day. And if you look at the temperature notes there, we've had a really cool year. And it's been a really strange year when you consider that we're basically half of the 100-degree days and half of the 90-degree days that we've had in prior years. And there is a extremely discernible difference when you walk through there on a 100-degree day versus an 84-degree day. So ironically, I think that is actually detracting from some of our attendance this year, and especially that 2 weeks where it was fairly cool. Daily water usage, we're using just over 56,000 gallons a day, and most of that is due to splash out. I mean, the evaporation rate's the same as it was. Actually, it may be less this year since it's a little cooler. But if you've been around the pool and you look at the deck, you literally see a ton of water coming out of the pool. So that being said, when you compare it to the history, we're still doing really well. So And just for, I don't know why we didn't put it in there, but May, when you include the fill-up, it's 1,589,112 gallons. But again, you can see that, you know, June's a good snapshot, month to month, of the difference when you hold the water in the pool. And part of what helps with that is the temperature of the water is, I mean, the competition pool is almost at what we consider therapeutic pool rec levels, or for therapeutic pools, which is 82 degrees, and it's held that for the past month. The leisure pool is a little cooler. It will fluctuate between 78 and 80, and that's because it's so much smaller and there's so much splash out and so much water getting thrown into the air from the play structure, and we're refilling all the time, so it's a little bit cooler. But I think that's a drastic difference from the history. So the big complaint isn't actually the pool water, it's actually having to get out in the air temperature cooling people. So that's where we want to be. And again, so the last thing we have is kind of chemical cost. You can see June, we got most of our billing in. I'm hoping the total for this year so far is 22,180, and I'm hoping that we're done actually purchasing chemical. So just to put that in perspective, 2019 was just over 87,000. We're still questioning a little bit whether we may have to purchase a little bit more acid, but we're done buying chlorine, which is the most expensive thing. So I just bought 8 barrels of acid for $2,600. So compared to 4 pallets of chlorine that came in at 12,000.
Wow.
So, and with that, I would happily answer any other questions.
Any questions from the commissioners?
Well, I do. So I'm wondering, how close are we to being completely finished? I know I've been down there, I walk down there and go down there a lot. How close are we to being completely finished and like all of the construction? I know there's some things that are gonna be held over, but.
So the cabanas were supposed to be in, and I got word last week that they're gonna be delayed, and so those probably won't operate this year. So we're probably looking at the end of August for those. CEM, which is the subcontractor for putting all the piping and things like that, getting the aquatic features running, is now in town as of today. And the piping is coming in today to start laying all of that for the splash pad.
As far as the landscaping, I mean, on the side and the back, is that going well also? Last time I checked.
Today he was seeding. So,
okay, so the
to
back
me,
side.
that tells me he's ready to fire everything up, and he should be done. So the irrigation pipe's in. I know the clock's in. So on the front, so the north, west, and south sides should be done. Obviously, he'll have to wait till they finish the splash pad and the cabanas before he can start that east side.
Oh, I appreciate you going back up the walking trail in front. That's nice. That's a nice.
Yeah, and
place to walk.
I think there needs to be a little work done on that as well.
Yeah.
So it connects into the drive.
Mhm.
So.
Any other questions? Thank you, Aaron. Good
Thanks.
job.
Thanks.
Call your attention to the other items under the manager's report, their staff reports. You'll see the Neighborhood and Development Services reports, particularly in the code compliance area are getting caught up from the last couple of months.
Just
There's-
noticed in that a lot of weed complaints, just wet year. I noticed it was like full pages of, nonstop weed issues, but.
Sure. And from time to time, we get, the question of, well, is anybody doing anything about that? You
Mhm.
can see, particularly by the time we get to the June report, that there's dozens and dozens of things that arrive to
Mhm.
the point of a code letter being sent.
I think
The
too,
timely
being
process.
as wet as it's been too, it's just, you see it in the community, so. But it was noticeable as you were going through the report, just,
Was.
kind of stood out, so.
It was. There's no other questions on the staff reports. We'll move on to meetings of note. I would call attention to tomorrow morning's Chamber of Commerce breakfast at the Clarion Inn. There will be a presentation on the
Quarter cent
on the
sales.
quarter-cent sales tax for the county. So you're all welcome to attend, and again, certainly it'd be a good place to, for the county to share information. Also, I would suspect the city will be asked to share a little bit. The mayor's not gonna be able to make tomorrow morning, but
I can't be there.
Deb will be, has volunteered to present. I think Manny, you said you'd be able to make it as
Yeah.
well. So
There you go.
two of you, Commissioner Dick and Commissioner Unruh would like to be there as well too, so we can, I would encourage you to bring your public information sheets on what it is how it is the sales tax is used for the city of Garden City. And we'll share that information. I think with that, we're ready for the appropriation ordinance. Item 9A, if approved, it would be appropriation ordinance number 2535-2021A.
Mayor, I move that we approve appropriation ordinance number 2535-2021A.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Unruh. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Euler. Any discussion on that item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
We have a 1:30
Yeah.
public hearing. I think if you don't mind, we could skip down to item D, the resolution. That won't mess up our numbering.
That'll work.
The governing body is asked to consider and approve a lease purchase financing for two 2022 F-450 brush trucks. If approved, this would be resolution 2882-2021.
Hi, Melinda.
Hi. The fire department has ordered two 2022 F-450 brush trucks that were approved at the city commission meeting on April 6, 2021. The funding source presented with the lease purchases for 5 years with the first payment beginning in 2021. The amount being financed is $398,601.28. The two bids received were from Clayton Holdings at 1.48% over 5 years, and Pierce Financing Solutions at 1.91. You have alternatives to approve the lease purchase financing with Clayton Holdings, or to budget the amount in the fire department and reduce the cash carryover. Staff recommends the lease purchase financing option with Clayton Holdings. Also, the approval of the resolution and the approval for the mayor to sign the lease purchase documents. These payments are adequately funded in the fire department budget, 001-152-6100.16 in both 2021 and 2022.
Entertain a motion on this item.
Move that we approve resolution number 2882-2021, authorizing the city of Garden City enter a municipal lease purchase agreement for the fire department vehicles with Clayton Holdings LLC.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Dick. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Ortiz. Any discussion on that item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
Get your pen ready. You're gonna
Okay.
have lots of time.
Yeah. You always, on those, yeah. We got 2 minutes. Sir, do we want to,
I'll read slow.
okay.
Item 10A is a public hearing, set for 1:30. The public hearing is in regards to the governing body hearing questions, concerns, and comments from the public with regard to the approval of a petition to vacate a public utility easement located at 1621 Conkling Avenue. Following the public hearing, the governing body is asked to consider and approve an ordinance to vacate the public utility easement at 1621 Conkling Avenue. Mike, do you want to present the background, and then following that, his presentation, Mayor, you could open the public hearing, giving the public an opportunity to weigh in.
Sure.
Once the public comments concluded, you can close that. The commission would then be in a position to consider ordinance number 2906.
2906. Okay.
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. The background on this is at your June 15th, 2021 meeting, you set this public hearing, as the city manager indicated, for consideration of the property owner of 1621 Conkling Avenue It's Diane Bishop's property. She requested to approve the petition to vacate the public utility easement that's located on her property to allow her to build a garage. The public utility easement was established by ordinance number 1258 and approved by the governing body back on October 26th of 1977. It's located along the south property line of Lot 7, Block 4 of the West Acre subdivision, and is commonly known as 1621 Conkling Avenue. The public utility easement was retained for potential utility use in the future for whatever needed. Nothing was ever installed, and there's nothing planned to be installed. We've had all the other utilities indicate there's nothing in there. So the public hearing is, we advertise for that, and you would do that whenever you're ready.
I'll open the public hearing at this time. Is there any comments from the public on this particular item on the agenda? None being, I'll close the public hearing at this time. Any questions from the commission? Entertain a motion on this item.
I move that we approve ordinance number 2906-2021, an ordinance vacating a public utility easement in the city of Garden City at 1621 Conkling Avenue.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Unruh. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Dick. Any discussion on this item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 10B, the governing body is asked to consider and approve an ordinance regarding improvements to Garden City Regional Airport facilities. If approved, this would be ordinance number 2907-2021. Melinda?
Fingers here. Okay, so the governing body has discussed and determined that it is necessary to design and construct a new terminal and related facilities at the Garden City Regional Airport. The estimated cost is $30,310,845 with $17,959,219 paid from the CARES Act funds. $3,759,481 paid from the FAA entitlement funds. $1 million paid from the Kansas Affordable Fares. This leaves $8 million to be paid by the city, financed by taxable general obligation bonds. The first step in the process is to issue debt is to approve an ordinance to authorize the project. The authority for this authorization is the Home Rule Authority and Charter Ordinance number 31. Using this authority allows the city to construct and improve any airport or public transportation facility serving the city and to issue general obligation bonds for that purpose in the amount deemed necessary. This project, if approved, will be part of the 2021 general obligation bond issue. You have alternatives to adopt the ordinance as presented or defer it to a later date. Staff recommends the adoption of the ordinance authorizing the project to be included in the 2021 general obligation bond issue. Under the fiscal note, the debt service payments for this project estimated to be approximately $650,000 per year for a 15-year GO bond or $500,000 for a 20-year GO bond will be funded in the bond and interest fund. An alternative revenue source for payment of the debt over 15 years is in the development stage.
Any questions? Entertain a motion on ordinance number 2907-2021.
I move to approve ordinance number 2907-2021.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Euler. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Ortiz. Any discussion on that item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed. Thank you.
Item
Great.
10C,
Still
the
here.
governing body is asked to consider and approve the following ordinance regarding improvements to its public parks and the drainage project on Fulton Street. If approved, it would be ordinance number 2908-2021.
At the City Commission meeting on July 6, 2021, the governing body was presented the projects for the general obligation bond financing. Authorizing the project ordinance is the first step in this process. The authority for the authorization of these projects is as follows. Home Rule Authority, improvements to Southeast Community Park for Phase 3 improvements, final design and construction for a total of $1.6 million. Improvements to Finup Scout Park to design and construct a skate park for a total of $800,000. The Traffic Way Act is being used for the installation of the new storm sewer on Fulton Street to improve the drainage in the area. This is an approved City Connecting Link program with the Kansas Department of Transportation. They are providing $1 million, and the city is providing the balance of $600,000. These projects, if approved, will be part of the 2021 general obligation bond issue. Also included in this issue is the airport terminal construction project authorized under a separate ordinance. You have alternatives to approve the ordinance as presented or to defer it to a later date. Staff does recommend approval. Debt service payments for these projects, estimated at $300,000 per year for a 10-year GO bond, are funded in the Bond and Interest Fund number 40 for 2022.
I would move that we approve ordinance number 2908-2021 for an ordinance of the City of Garden City, Kansas, authorizing the city to make improvements to the public parks and Fulton Street and authorizing the city to issue general obligation bonds to pay the cost for such improvements.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Unruh. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's been a second by Commissioner Dick. Just note that Commissioner Ortiz did step down from the bench on this item. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I do have questions. So I just want to make sure the $1.6 million, does that actually, what does that bring up to Southeast Community Park? Does that get the equipment there, or is it just, what will that pay for?
That should pay for the structures at the park once they're designed, and also a few other items on that, Aaron?
I just didn't know if that finished it up, or, does that make it to where it's usable? I knew it's a big endeavor, but I just wondered.
So potentially, I think, obviously, part of what we're doing right now is finding an architect to do a final design phase. So depending on what that looks like, there may be a phase 3 and a phase 4 if we have to split that out based on costs. But we should have some final structures put in there under that 1.6 million. And because one of the things it calls for is an amphitheater. Those tend to be kind of expensive.
Yeah.
So amphitheater, restrooms, ADA playground. So we're going to try to package those together to get everything done, but my guess is that we'll get some of that done and then at a later date come back.
So we'll have grass and things like that, so it's actually a usable park? And
Yeah, it'll be,
build upon
by
it.
the time we're done with phase 3, it'll be definitely be a usable park with restrooms and
Awesome.
everything.
All right,
So,
thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 12, new business. The 12A, I'm sorry, the governing body is asked to consider and approve a sole source bid from Axon for the purchase of interview recording systems at the Garden City Police Department. Chief?
Good afternoon again. I'm not going to read the memo to you, but this is a culmination of about a 3-year project to try to get recording systems into our interview rooms. The reason that it's a sole source bid, there's numerous features that were non-negotiable for us. We've tested 3 different systems total, and in the testing of those, the 2 other systems that we tested, one from Motorola and then one from Motorola WatchGuard, when they combined, didn't meet it. And then Axon, which is Taser, the company that produces Taser, their system did meet it. So that's the reason that we're asking for sole source consideration on this. We've transferred money over consistently since 2018 to try to get this, and finally we've gotten to the point where we found a system that works. Some of the features that were very important to us was, obviously we're police officers, so easy to operate. And pre and post event recording was very important. But probably the most important was the chain of custody and the ability to share those videos and easily transfer them, because they're evidentiary, easily transfer them without having to burn them to a DVD and then drop them into a system and then burn them to another DVD and share them with any of the litigators that might have. So that's probably the biggest reason that Axon rose to the top in our search. The financial note, the total cost is going to be $60,400 and some change, with yearly payments starting with $12,000 at the first year, and then $11,000 and some change after that. And we have that money available in our budget, and the GL codes are listed there. And I can answer any questions that you might have, and I brought some guys that can help me out if I need it. So,
Any questions? Entertain a motion on this item.
I move to accept the bid from Axon.
There's been a motion to accept the bid from Axon. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's been a second. Any discussion on this item?
I have a question. Are the interview rooms already exist, or are they part of the remodel of the LAC?
so yes. We have interview rooms right now. The system is pretty easily transferable.
Oh, okay.
So once we do the remodel, it'll transfer over. So.
Any other discussion? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Item 12B, the governing body is asked to consider and approve an engineering contract with PEC Engineering. Mike?
Good afternoon again, Mayor and Commissioners. PEC Engineering, it's professional engineering consultants. They've been providing engineering services for the city for many years. They've been utilized for the past 8 to 10 years, specifically in our water and wastewater areas. They've completed master plans for both water and wastewater. And they recently completed the wastewater treatment plant upgrades that we, the city, did. Now they're starting the engineering services that are going to be necessary for Empirical Foods to connect up to the wastewater treatment plant. We use them, they're back and forth a lot. We use them a lot of different times. This we felt was a more effective way of utilizing their services. So we ask you to entertain this. It's a 2-year contract with the city, between the city and PEC. In that 2-year contract, we'd have on-site representation for 8 hours every 2 weeks and remote access attendance every other week for meetings, whatever we may need. Then we'll have them start to begin to review some of the bigger water, wastewater subdivision projects and run that through the water modeling system so we have a better handle on what the impact is going to be. The fee for this service is $4,800 a month, or $57,600 a year, and it includes all travel and other incidentals, and then specific projects that we may use them for that would be handled under a separate task order. The alternatives would be to approve the 2-year contract with PEC Engineering and authorize the mayor to sign that agreement, or do not approve the agreement. Staff recommends alternative 1, and the funding for this $57,600 fee would come from our current engineering fees budget in water, where there's a current balance of $112,000. This year, we budgeted $150,000 for 2022. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
So Mike, you said EFI, is that considered a special project, or is it included in this annual fee?
I'm sorry,
Well, you indicated they would be on site for EFI.
For
So are
Empirical.
they, Empirical Foods, so are they a separate project, like you talked about? For a separate project, they'd be under a different task order?
The work that's going to be done now for Empirical Foods is a separate task order, but Empirical Foods is paying for that service.
Oh, okay.
Everything that's associated with connecting their plant.
So this will be our side of it?
This
That
will
is
just be our
included.
side of things, yes.
I had a question, Mike. So is this just a new contract that we're offering, or PEC has submitted, or is it a continuing contract from years before? Because I just didn't get whether this is a new one, or was it something that we have to?
We have a master services agreement with professional at PEC, and all we've done before is just issue task order after task order after task order whenever we would use their services. I've actually felt it made more sense to have a contract with set fees for this period of time to see how that works. I think we'll actually save some funding in the long run. then we're not being charged for every single task order. And that monthly fee will come out of the, 8 hours every 2 weeks, so I
Okay.
don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, I
Commissioner.
just, since it said from the 2-year contract, this 2-year contract will allow the city to use PEC Engineering for on-site representation. So I didn't know if this was a continuing one from years before, that it's up for renewal, or if it's just a new contract.
Brand new contract.
Okay,
Yeah.
that works.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, I know that there is talk about expanding wastewater treatment in other areas of the city. So is their expertise going to be able to be used for that also, or?
We'll be able to use them for anything we want in that normal representation of the 8 hours or the normal meetings for the $4,800. If it's a large project like expanding the plant to some major thing, that would be a separate task order that we would have to have a contract come in front of you guys to approve. So,
Any other questions? Entertain a motion on this item for approval of the engineering contract.
I move to approve the 2-year contract with PEC Engineering and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Euler. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Dick. Any other discussion on this item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
thank you.
Thank you.
Item C, the governing body is asked to consider and approve the granting of 4 underground electric utility easements to Wheatland Electric Cooperative, Inc. on Garden City Regional Airport property. Mike?
Yes. Thank you, Matt. The Wheatland Electric is in the process of connecting its facilities to serve customers that are within their service territory at the Garden City Regional Airport. The city, we had previously served these facilities, and we've been working with Wheatland for the transfer of service. Their request is for 4 underground electric easements. That's going to be required for them to connect their facilities. We met with the Garden City Regional Airport Director, Rochelle Powell, to make sure that these easements would not interfere with any operations at the airport, and she has said that would be fine. It won't interfere with any of the new expansion that's to be done, and everything that they do will be underground. There'll be no overhead power lines built at the airport. Alternative is authorize the mayor to sign the easement requests, or do not authorize it, and staff recommends alternative 1, and there's no financial impact to granting these easements.
Entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor to execute the 4 underground easement requests from Wheatland Electric.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Dick. Any other discussion on this item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
Item 12D, the governing body is asked to consider and approve a real estate purchase agreement for the property located at 4570 East Highway 50 for $130,000. Mike?
Yes, this property is located at 4570 East Highway 50. It's approximately 4.027 acres, and it's contiguous to property that the city will acquire in October from Wheatland Electric when we close on the asset purchase agreement. The Wheatland property now currently houses the Ankrum Electrical Substation, and like I said, that'll become city property in October. During the investigation to ensure that we had proper access to the Ankrum Substation, it was discovered that this property was for sale as the previous owner had passed, and the seller agrees to remove to the city's satisfaction all structures, debris, trash, and other property of any kind, and they can't bury it on that site. They'll dispose all of the debris responsibly before we would, if you approve that, before Randy would do the closing. Acquiring this property allows for permanent access to the electric substation. There's actually 3 access points off of Highway 50 there. That could be utilized, and then there's a portion of this property may be utilized for a salt sand storage facility for the public works crews, and they don't have to drive clear across town to get salt and sand. So the alternatives would be to purchase the real estate property at 4570 East Highway 50 for $130,000 and authorize the mayor to sign that agreement, or do not approve the real estate purchase. Staff recommends alternative 1, and funding for this purchase will be budgeted in the revised 2021 special traffic way budget. There's the code number for land purchase, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Entertain a motion on this item.
I move that we approve the purchase of the real estate property located at 4570 East Highway 50 for $130,000 and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Unruh. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Commissioner Euler. Any discussion on that item?
I do want to say how important any access to Highway 50 is, because I know that there are no longer going to be allowed a bunch of accesses. So, I mean, that access alone is really valuable, no matter how we use it, so, yes.
Any other discussion? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item E, the governing body is asked to consider and approve the first half of 2021 semi-annual report for the Community Development Block Grant Revolving Loan Fund on behalf of Great Plains Development, Inc. Melinda?
This is the semi-annual report that you've seen many times, but it does include all of these new loans that you just issued last year, so that was a good use of this money. This just needs to be approved by you so that we can send it on to the state.
Entertain a motion on this item.
I move to approve the semi-annual report for the period ending June 30th, 2021.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Euler. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by
Main
Commissioner
Chair.
Ortiz. Is there any other discussion on this item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
You finished it, I didn't.
Item F, the governing body is asked to consider changes to the 2022 city budget so that the notice of hearing to exceed the revenue neutral rate and the budget hearing for the 2022 city budget can be prepared. Melinda?
At your last meeting, we made an extensive list of changes. I think all of you remember that. Those have all been incorporated, but since the last meeting, there's an issue which is viewed somewhat critical, and it needs to be presented before you can make any final decisions on the budget. The city's step and grade plan, which was implemented in 2020, consists of two components. The step component addresses employee performance and the progress the employee has made on the goals set for them. The second component is the annual cost of living adjustment to the step and grade plan to keep minimums and maximums of grade ranges competitive. The budget assumptions were initially part of the budget process provided a 2% salary pool. This assumption has worked very well over the years in the budget preparation. As all of you are aware, the inflation factor that is currently running at a rate that we have not experienced in years, which is currently for Midwest cities, has a rolling 12-month increase of 5.8%. The inflation factor is part of the overall calculation to compute the cost of living increase. To prepare for that, the adjustments were made as follows. All authorized position salaries were increased by 1%. This revision increases the amount of ad valorem taxes in the taxing funds by $191,276. We removed the $10 that we added to the employer share for health insurance. This reduces the amount of ad valorem taxes in those funds by $34,600. A late but needed request to hire a full-time veterinarian in the zoo animal divisions has been included. This replaced the contracted services and has a net increase in ad valorem taxes of $70,000. To get to an even mill levy rate for 2022 as compared to 2021, the following adjustments of $226,676 were made as listed below. We removed $50,000 in the general fund cash carryover, making it the normal $50,000 increase. So that amount is now $3.35 million. We removed $50,000 from facilities maintenance in the general fund. Currently, the neighborhood and development services are using these funds, and that they should have that complete in 2021. Increased building permit revenue by $25,000 due to current trends. Increased the liquor consumption tax, $29,000 in 2021 and $25,000 in 2022 for current trends. and increase city sales tax, $27,676 in 2021 and $20,000 in 2022 due to the current trends we're experiencing. With the city commissioners' consideration and approval of the changes listed above, the 2022 notice of hearing to exceed the revenue neutral rate and the budget hearing can be prepared. The notice will be in the August 17th, 2021 commission packet. The public hearing is scheduled for September 7th, 2021 at 1:30. You might think this is awfully late, but you cannot have a budget hearing before August 20th. And so our calendar didn't work out quite right by a few days. The alternatives are to direct staff to make necessary changes and prepare the 2022 notice of hearing to exceed the revenue neutral rate and budget hearing, or address further changes to the 2022 budget. Staff recommends number 1, and I think there is a calculation of the mill levy included in your packet here. You can show you're even both years.
Entertain a motion on this item.
I move that we direct staff to make necessary changes to prepare the 2022 notice of hearing to exceed the revenue neutral rate and budget hearing.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Dick. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Unruh. Is there any other discussion on this item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed.
Thank you. Now we can
Thank
take
you.
a break on budget.
Yeah.
I know it's been a strange budget year, so that's, yeah. All these new terms.
Thank you, Melinda. Item G is the consent agenda. There's 2 items. Item number, if approved, it would be items G1 and 2.
I move that we approve consent agenda items G1 and G2.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Unruh. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Euler. Is there any discussion on this item? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That item passed. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Unruh.
Yeah, it's great to go first, so then you don't have to ditto everything. So, just with Melinda being up here, I know the work on the budget this year has been especially challenging with all of the new terms that the legislature has kind of assigned to us. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you to all of the different departments who have worked really hard to make sure that we came in at an even mill levy. I was very excited about the big pool report. I'm glad Aaron's out there getting a little bit of sun. I always worry about him being inside a lot. But I'm really excited about how well the big pool is doing. Garden Rapids at the big pool. And also seeing just the way that the community is reacting. And I've heard incredible reports. There was a recent write-up article about the remodel. And so if you've not seen that on Facebook, there's a lot of really great information. I have been visiting area airports, and I'm going to tell you, even with us doing nothing, our airport, we are we're blessed. I'm extremely thankful. Our airport is always clean. It's always well run. But I go into the other airports, So anyway, our airport is extremely nice, and I can hardly wait for the new terminal. I think we are already the regional airport. I hear a lot of people who are making plans to fly out of here, and so I'm excited about that. And I know that travel is picked up in June. I did want to say I did visit the flea market, which was really a great turnout. Bought a couple of things to eat. I needed absolutely nothing, but it was a really great turnout and a really nice day. It had just rained, so it was a little bit cooler. That was nice. And then the health fair in Stevens Park. So many great organizations showed up. I appreciate Troy Davis from the police department being there with the child seat, and also the firefighters were there and with the truck, and everything looked really great. It was a really well-attended event. I mean, you could have picked up a lot of stuff, and a lot of people were, but I think the whole idea that we are a community of really that looks at health being important. I did have one suggestion, and I don't know if we can use these, Matt, or not, but for the ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan Act, I know that to me sidewalks are really transportation, and I love walking and running in Garden City, and I see a lot of people, when there are no sidewalks, the only place you can walk or run is in the street. And so if there is any way, and I know that I'm not saying we have to use the whole amount, but if there's a way to carve out some dollars to use that for transportation, I do think sidewalks, especially strategically placed throughout our community, could really benefit. So, we're tasked to think about how we could use those funds over these years, but I know that we put our sidewalks on hold. Last year when I was mayor, I didn't get to do anything with that just because of COVID, but if there's a way to use some of those funds for sidewalks,
either repair or I'd love to see some new ones. That would be awesome. And with that, that's all I have.
Okay. Commissioner Ortiz.
Thanks. Yeah, I think first of all, Fair Week, still going on. There's lots of great opportunities to go out and just get yourself involved with, and even just to go out and, see some of these kids who are, presenting and getting awards and things that they are achieving doing. So that it's pretty exciting to see these kids, especially just on Facebook and, from other people. So you can't hit them all, but you can definitely hit up Facebook and social media to see what's happening. So I encourage you just to go out and do some of those things or attend some of those festivities. So also, yeah, with Grand Rapids at the big pool, great facility, and I've heard lots of just good things about it. So congratulations to all those involved and all those who are running it. Aaron, you can extend that on to your staff. But they're doing a wonderful job out there. And like I said before, there's great things in Garden City. There's lots of great people involved and great leadership. I think that's all. Tomorrow morning also, if you do want to learn about, the taxes, quarter-cent tax, attend or listen in. I'll be there for any questions. I guess Deb's going to be there to present. So I've done it before with Commissioner Jones, and the county does a really good job on explaining their part. And we have some pamphlets and information for those who are willing to just get that information. But I encourage you to get that information as well, because it does affect you as far as a taxpayer and a community member of Garden City. So thanks.
All right. Commissioner Euler.
Stop the Bus backpack distribution will be next Wednesday, the 28th, at Garfield, starting at 10 o'clock. There are over 1,500 backpacks of school supplies ready to give out to families who need them. Lots and lots of organizations have pulled together to put this event on, and it's really going to be, pretty fantastic. So if you want to volunteer, they're always looking for volunteers. So I'll put that plug in there as well. In addition to what Commissioner Ortiz talked about with getting the word out about the election, in August, I think the county will have a table at the fair on Saturday. I will also be there for another thing, but I can go back and forth. So if there's some materials that you have, I can bring those. So
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
We can reload if anybody wants to
Me
take a
too.
turn at that table. They've extended the invitation. So we've got some more of our pamphlets available, and grab some after the meeting, I would say. And
Yep.
you can take them with you if you've ran out already. Grab some more.
I'm getting low.
there you
Getting-
go. Yeah,
getting
get
close.
some more. Get some more. But I also just wanted to. It's kind of neat to see on Facebook the Explorer program and that they're doing their training. The Explorers helped with backpack collection a couple of weeks ago, and it's a great organization and a really good group, and it teaches some wonderful leadership skills. So I was pretty impressed with what they do. So thanks for doing that. That's all I have.
Commissioner Dick.
Well, I'll be brief. I was able to attend a virtual meeting with Loud Light, which is, and they're working on a New Frontiers project out here in Dodge City and Garden City, talking about eventually the ultimate goal is to get more civic participation in some of the minority communities and get a more representative electorate from our community. So it was a good thing to listen to, and they're going to work on some mobile food pantries as well. So that was a good thing to attend. And then also was able to attend Senator Marshall's event he had at the Centura Hospital. Did a good job. Mike Muirhead represented us very well, and both had some good questions, but also some good praise for the efforts of the senators that we have. So that's all I have.
Just wanted to mention that I know the commissioners talked about the sales tax extension vote. That will be on August 3rd. That'll be 7 until 7. That is the only item that will be on the ballot that day. But again, please go out and vote and make your voice heard on that day. It's a very important issue that we have in our community. Also that evening is National Night Out, just another important event that we do celebrate and have in our community. I know that the commissioners in the past have gone out and will probably be going out again They'll probably be organizing that and as we get closer to that event, and just going out and visiting the community. But a really great event. This morning, I did attend and was present for the Alliance to Defeat Hunger, which is a partnership between Feed the Children, Tyson Foods, and Maricold. Those organizations teamed up and provided approximately 320 meals or food supplies to families in our community. They also went to the Garden City Alternate Education Center and set up a pantry there this afternoon for school supplies, food, as well as hygiene products to hand out to those families at that school. So a great partnership in those organizations, seeing a need in our community for food insecurity, but teaming up and working on that issue and really helping our community out. So a great effort. Senator Dahl was there. We did have representatives from Senator Moran's office, as well as Representative Mann's office was there as well. And then school district. There was just a lot of people there to represent, and wanted to thank the Garden City Fire Department and Police Department. They were there helping out, hand supplies. The police department was directing traffic, which was kind of crazy there for a while at the beginning, but did a very good job. So good job to them. I did too attend Representative Mann's town hall meeting last week. Very informative of what's happening and taking place in the community. And then wanted to mention that coming up next week, Thursday, we do have the Kansas Commissioner of Education, Dr. Randy Watson, and Deputy Commissioner Brad Niswander are conducting a 50 community conversation tour throughout the state. What they're doing is trying to see how the Kansas Can success tour on the implementation of Kansas Can and how that's changing the educational system in the state. So they will be here next Thursday at 9 o'clock at Horace Good Middle School in the courtyard to get information from the community. So that might be a good time to just see what they have to offer to the community, but also get input from the leaders of the community as well. And on that note, I have nothing else, and hopefully we'll have a great rest of the day. And the meeting is adjourned.